Episode 4. B1 Level. Welcome back to another episode of Daily 5 Words. In today's episode, we're going to explore this 5 exciting new words. 1. Curious. 2. Advice. 3. Neighbor. 4. Tighten. 5. Crouch. But before we dive into the details, please watch a short animation where all of today's words come to life in fun and simple stories. Watch carefully and try to notice how each word is used in real situations. After the animation, we'll go through the words one by one, with clear explanations, examples, and tips that will help you remember and use them in your own conversations. The curious neighbor. Emma had always been a very curious person. She liked to explore, ask questions, and learn new things. Whenever something unusual happened in her neighborhood, Emma was often the first one to notice and the first one to find out more. One warm Saturday morning, Emma was watering the flowers in her front yard when she heard a strange clinking sound from across the street. It wasn't the sound of traffic or people talking, it was more like tools hitting metal. Her eyes followed the sound until she saw Mr. Harris, her new neighbor, crouched down next to an old bicycle. He looked focused, turning a small wrench and wiping his hands on a cloth. Emma thought to herself, I wonder what he's doing. Maybe he's trying to fix that bike. Her curious nature got the better of her, and she decided to walk over. "Good morning, Mr. Harris," she said with a smile. "It looks like you're trying to repair your bicycle." Mr. Harris laughed. "Yes, but it's more complicated than I thought. The chain keeps slipping off, and the brakes don't work well." Emma leaned in to take a closer look. "I think I can help. But, do you have the right tool for the brakes?" He shook his head. "Not really. I was hoping I could borrow one from someone, but I haven't asked yet." Emma's eyes lit up. "I have a small tool set at home. I can bring it to you. And if you don't mind, I can share some advice my dad taught me about fixing bikes." She quickly ran back to her house, grabbed the tool set, and returned to Mr. Harris. Together, they worked on the bicycle, tightening the brakes, adjusting the chain, and checking the tires. As they worked, Emma gave little tips. If you keep the chain slightly oiled, it won't slip as much, and it's better to test the brakes slowly before riding fast. After about 20 minutes, the bike was ready. Mr. Harris gave the pedals a push, and the bicycle moved smoothly down the street. "Wow, it works perfectly now," he said, smiling. "Thank you, Emma. Without your tools and your advice, I wouldn't have finished this today." Emma smiled back. "Well, I'm glad I came over. And now, I think I've found not just a neighbor, but also a new friend." From that day on, they often helped each other. Sometimes she would borrow his ladder to reach high shelves, and other times he would repair things in her garden. And of course, Emma's curious mind always enjoyed learning something new from Mr. Harris. Great! Now that you've watched the animation, let's take a closer look at today's 5 words. 1. Curious. Part of speech, adjective. Meanings. 1. Having a strong desire to know or learn something. This is the most common use, often showing interest, eagerness, or a questioning nature. People who are curious usually enjoy asking questions, exploring, and discovering new information. Example: the child was curious about how birds can fly. 2. Strange, unusual, or unexpected. In this sense, curious describes something odd or out of the ordinary that catches your attention. Example: that's a curious way to solve the problem. Synonyms: interested, inquiring, eager to know, inquisitive, intrigued, nosy, informal, slightly negative. Word family. Curiosity, noun. A strong desire to know or learn something. Example: her curiosity led her to explore the abandoned house. Curiously, adverb. In a way that shows interest or desire to know more. Example, he looked curiously at the old painting. Common uses and phrases. Curious mind. Describes a person who always wants to learn more. Example, teachers love students with a curious mind because they ask thoughtful questions. Out of curiosity. When you ask something just because you want to know, not for a serious reason. Example, out of curiosity, how did you learn to play the piano? Curious about. Interested in learning or finding out more about something. Example, she's curious about different cultures and traditions. Idioms. Curiosity killed the cat. A warning that being too curious can cause trouble. Example, I wouldn't open that letter if I were you, curiosity killed the cat. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. A playful version that means curiosity is fine if it leads to a good outcome. Example, I know you said not to look, but I did, and it was amazing. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Other information for learners. Curious is usually positive when talking about learning and exploring new ideas. It can sound negative if it suggests interfering in someone's private matters. Pay attention to tone and context. For example, she's curious about astronomy is positive. But he's curious about what his neighbors are doing all the time may sound like gossiping or spying. 2. Advice. Part of speech, noun. Meaning. Advice means an opinion, suggestion, or recommendation that someone gives to help another person make a decision or solve a problem. It is usually given based on experience, knowledge, or concern for the other person's well-being. Advice is about guiding someone toward the best choice, but the person receiving it can decide whether to follow it or not. It can be friendly, professional, or even official. Example sentences. My teacher gave me good advice about preparing for the exam. If you're not sure what to do, you should ask your parents for advice. The doctor's advice was to get more rest and drink plenty of water. Synonyms. Guidance. Recommendation. Suggestion. Tip. Counsel. Word family. Advise, verb. To give someone advice. Example, the lawyer advised her to read the contract carefully. Advisor, noun. A person who gives advice professionally or informally. Example, my uncle is my financial advisor. Advisory, adjective. Giving or containing advice. Example, the company has an advisory board of experts. Common uses and phrases. Take advice. To listen to and follow someone's suggestion. Example, you should take your coach's advice if you want to improve. Seek advice. To look for guidance or recommendations. Example, I'm going to seek advice from my older sister before making a decision. Follow advice. To act according to what someone has suggested. Example, he followed his doctor's advice and started exercising daily. Ignore advice. To choose not to follow the suggestions given. Example, she ignored her parents' advice and moved to another city. Sound advice. Advice that is wise and sensible. Example, her plan to save money was sound advice. Other information for learners. In English, advice is an uncountable noun, so you cannot say an advice or advices. Instead, you say some advice or a piece of advice when referring to one suggestion. For example, can I give you a piece of advice? This is a common mistake for learners, so it's worth remembering. If you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, so you won't miss any of the upcoming episodes. 3. Neighbor. Part of speech, noun. Meaning. A neighbor is a person who lives near you, usually in the same building, street, or area. Neighbors can be people you know well or just recognize when you see them. In a wider sense, the word can also refer to someone or something nearby, not just in a residential context. For example, Canada is the United States' northern neighbor. Example sentences. My new neighbor brought me a cake to welcome me to the neighborhood. Our neighbors are always friendly and wave when they see us. Spain is a neighbor to Portugal. Synonyms. Resident nearby. Next door resident. Local. Nearby person. Word family. Neighborhood, noun. An area where people live close to each other. Example, we live in a quiet neighborhood. Neighboring, adjective. Located near or next to something. Example, the kids from the neighboring street often play here. Common uses and phrases. Next door neighbor. A person living in the house or apartment directly beside yours. Example, my next door neighbor helped me fix my car. Good neighbor. A person who is kind, helpful, and respectful to people living nearby. Example, being a good neighbor means keeping noise down at night. Neighboring countries. Countries that share a border. Example, France and Germany are neighboring countries in Europe. Other information for learners. The spelling differs in British English, neighbor with a U. In American English, it's neighbor without the U. 4. Tighten. Part of speech, verb. Meaning. To make something more tight, firm, or secure, or to become tighter. This can refer to physical objects, like screws, lids, ropes, or straps, or to abstract things, like rules, control, or security. Tightening usually improves stability, safety, or order. Example sentences. Please tighten the screws so the table doesn't wobble. She tightened her shoelaces before running. The manager decided to tighten the company's rules to improve efficiency. Synonyms. Fasten. Secure. Clamp. Fix. Strengthen. Reinforce. Word family. Tight, adjective. Firmly held or stretched, not loose. Example, the dress is too tight for me. Tightly, adverb. In a tight way. Example, she held the baby tightly in her arms. Tightness, noun. The state of being tight. Example, the tightness of the knot made it hard to untie. Common uses and phrases. Tighten up. To make something more strict, secure, or effective. Example, the school decided to tighten up its security. Tighten one's grip. To hold something more firmly or to take more control. Example, he tightened his grip on the steering wheel. Tighten the belt. To spend less money or use fewer resources. Example, we'll need to tighten the belt this month because of extra bills. Idiomatic expressions and idioms. Tighten the belt. An idiom meaning to spend less or live more frugally. Example, after losing his job, he had to tighten the belt. Other information for learners. Tighten is often used in both physical and figurative contexts. The opposite is loosen, which means to make something less tight. Tie and tighten are related, but they are not exactly the same. Tie means to fasten, join, or attach something using a string, rope, lace, or similar material. For example, you tie your shoelaces, a ribbon, or a knot in a rope. Tighten means to make something more tight, firm, or secure. It often happens after you tie something, or with objects that already exist and need to be more secure. For example, you tie a rope and then tighten it to hold something firmly, or you tighten a screw to make it secure. So, the connection is that tie often starts the fastening process, and tighten makes it stronger or firmer. 5. Crouch. Part of speech, verb. Meaning. To lower your body close to the ground by bending your knees and leaning forward slightly. This is often done to hide, rest, prepare to move quickly, or get closer to something low. Crouching can also describe staying in a low, bent position for some time. Example sentences. The rabbit crouched in the grass, trying not to be seen. She crouched to take a closer look at the tiny flowers. The goalkeeper crouched, ready to block the shot. Synonyms. Squat. Bend down. Hunker down. Stoop. Word family. Crouched, adjective and past tense. Being in a low, bent position. Example, the man stayed in a crouched position for several minutes. Crouching, present participle. The act of lowering your body. Example, she was crouching by the fireplace, warming her hands. Common uses and phrases. Crouch down. To move into a crouching position. Example, she told the children to crouch down during the game. Stay crouched. To remain in a crouched position. Example, they stayed crouched until the danger had passed. Crouch in fear. To crouch because of fear or danger. Example, the rabbit crouched in fear when it heard the noise. Idiomatic expressions and idioms. Crouching tiger. Used figuratively in idioms like crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Meaning someone powerful or talented is hidden or not obvious. Example, the young chess player was a crouching tiger in the tournament. Other information for learners. Crouching is often used in sports, action situations, or storytelling to describe hiding, preparing for movement, or observing closely. It always involves bent knees and a lowered body. Unlike kneeling, your feet remain on the ground while crouching. Difference between crouch and squat. Crouch involves bending your knees and lowering your body close to the ground while keeping your feet flat on the floor. The upper body leans slightly forward, and the posture is often temporary. Example, the cat crouched behind the bush, ready to pounce. Squat involves bending your knees and lowering your body even more, often so your buttocks are very close to your heels. Feet may be flat or heels slightly raised depending on flexibility. Example, he squatted to pick up the heavy box from the floor. Key differences. Purpose, crouch is more for hiding, observing, or readiness, squat is often for exercise or resting without a chair. Body posture, crouch leans forward slightly, squat usually keeps the back straighter. Duration, crouching is often temporary, squatting can be held longer, especially in exercise. Thanks so much for watching. I truly appreciate your time and dedication to learning. You can find the links to download both the PDF and audio file of this episode in the description section. We recommend listening to the audio throughout the day whenever possible. It's an effective way to reinforce your vocabulary and improve your listening skills.